If you are a regular listener of this podcast, you might be aware that from time to time I keep talking about mental health issues and how we can talk about meditation, especially in terms of literature, that can help us in our mental health issues. And when there has been so much of literature, such a vast range of books that have talked about meditations and how we can improve our well-being, emotional well-being, mental well-being, then we should definitely make use of it. And from these ancient practices to the modern literature on this, I try to bring you some of the finest books on the subject, and hopefully that will help you learn some valuable lessons. Today, I'm going to talk about meditation in general, its basic ideas, and today's conversation is based on a book called Meditation in Action. It is written by Chögyam Trungpa and published by Shambhala Publications. And they are publishing these very small books on meditation literature and spirituality. And I'm sure you would find them helpful. They are mostly meant for those readers who don't have a lot of time and they just want to understand these simple ideas, simple yet extremely insightful and valuable ideas. And I'm sure they're going to help your life. So you can check out other books as well on very simple ideas. For example, how to breathe, how you should eat, how you should walk, or how you can practice mindfulness. All these simple ideas, there are particular books on the subject. So I'm going to be talking about meditation in general. Meditation, as you very well know, is a vast subject, and there have been many developments throughout the history and many variations in these practices among different religious traditions. And we have to remember that meditations until now have been very much a part of religious tradition in different parts of the world. But now we are getting to the point where we are trying to separate meditation from religions. Some do it successfully, some think it may not be possible. So in that case, you may still have to be a part of religious traditions in certain ways. You don't have to follow a particular religion completely, but if you understand those traditions well, then it's definitely going to help you a lot more. And if you look at broadly in all these meditation forms in different parts of the world, different religious traditions, you'd find that the meditation takes generally one of two forms. The first form, it stems from the teachings which are concerned with the discovery of the nature of existence, who we are. And the second approach is very much about some kind of communication with the external or some universal concept which you may call God. So the second one is something that many secular people tend to avoid, and that's why they move towards the first one, which is you find in certain Indian traditions, such as in Buddhism, you find those meditations. But in any case, you have to pursue these teachings and put them into practice so that you can benefit from them. If we talk about the second approach which I talked about, the idea of God, the idea of some kind of transcendent being, when we pursue that kind of meditation, Naturally, in that form or in that view of the world, there is also an internal personality, which is you or your own ego, your own identity, the idea of self. While if you talk about the first one, where you're just talking about the nature of existence, that kind of meditation, then since there is no idea of God, there is no idea of self as well. So when we talk about the idea of God and the idea of self, in this case, meditation practice becomes a way of some kind of communication with an external being. This means that one feels oneself to be inferior and one is trying to get in contact with something higher, something that inspires. So, in that case, meditation is really based on devotion. So, you would find the methods of prayers, certain rituals. In that sense, or even when you are closing your eyes and meditating, you are focusing on certain transcendent being and trying to reach there. And reach as in trying to connect with that higher power. This is very much the case in Hindu teachings, where there is emphasis on the inward state of samadhi, and you go into the depths of your mind, your heart. In fact, this method of devotion, it's practiced in many other religions, including Christianity and Islam, and especially the Sufi traditions of Islam. So, as you see, in this case, there is the sense of individual and there is some kind of higher consciousness, and you're trying to raise the standard of individual being, individual consciousness to the higher one. And this approach makes use of emotions and, as I said, devotional practices. And there is recitation, there is collective ceremonies, etc. Now, going to the other form of meditation, which is pretty much the opposite of this devotional form. In this case, there is no belief in higher power or lower power. So one is not trying to get in touch with some external being, or not trying to divide the world into inferior and superior. So therefore, this practice of meditation, it does not really require you to concentrate and focus deep inside. In fact, it demands you to be present, not go anywhere else in the past or the future, just stay in the present. This is pretty much what we do in mindfulness, and you might have heard that podcast on mindfulness. Another interesting thing about this kind of meditation is that it's not really long-term, some kind of arduous practice through which we are going to eventually attain some higher state, but it works instantly, right away. As you start paying attention to the things around you, you start looking, you start observing the sounds around you, you feel the senses in your skin, different sensations. Suddenly you feel very much mindful, very much present. And a lot of Buddhist meditations are based around this idea. Now, in this kind of meditation, the idea of being in the present, the nowness, it plays a very important part. In fact, it is the central idea of this kind of meditation. It means that whatever you do, whatever you're trying to practice, it's not really you have to go anywhere or trying to go anywhere. It's just right here. You do whatever you want to do and just be there, be present. If you are listening to my voice right now, you should be paying attention to it. And if any thoughts come to your mind, you should ignore them. If you are hearing any other sound or looking at any other objects in the room around you, you just need to observe them. Not really your thoughts or your judgments affect what you're seeing and affect your mind, but just looking at them and acknowledging them. So it's really about observation without judgment. And that's why most of these meditations, they begin with focusing on your breaths, because each breath is separate from the next and should be fully seen and fully felt. It's funny how we pretty much take it for granted, how we breathe, but it's such an essential part of who we are. So just focusing on it, we start with that, and then we may proceed into other forms. For example, if you are eating, just focus on your eating. Just be mindful of it. Become an observer. If you are eating food and watching TV, then you are clearly not being mindful. It works well in terms of entertainment in the short term, but not really in the long term. And you might feel pretty good at the end of your food, your dinner, after you have watched a TV show along with that. But if you make it a habit, then at the end of the day or on certain days, you would feel a strange kind of feeling, maybe some feeling of emptiness, some strange anxiety. All these emotions can creep in because you are really putting a lot of junk in your mind and allowing it to run at a really fast pace when it's not really required. And if the mind is constantly bombarded with a lot of information, one idea after another, one thought after another, a lot of visual information, a lot of audio information, then it gets really tired. It doesn't feel like that in that moment, but in the long terms, you might find that you're getting stressed out, you're having troubles with processing your emotions, and that happens gradually, which is why we recommend mindfulness. So this is how, in general, the meditation works. About the other one, the devotional part, and how various religious traditions incorporate those methods, I will talk about them in the subsequent podcasts.